advise that they use one motor.
Call in to get free consultation on elderly health on 07000 917 917 and 090 256 25455. You can send in questions, cases, and related contributions on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WFM917. Text and WhatsApp to 0703 175 6537. You can listen live online on www.wfm917.com. Radio Doctor, Nigeria's first free consultation radio health program on WFM 91.7.
Top of the morning to you. My name is Fumi Bangbala. You're tuned into WFM 91.7 Women Radio, the voice of women. First and only radio station in Nigeria for women and their families. This is Radio Doctor, your free health consultation program where real doctors advise real people. Radio Doctor is Nigeria's first specialized radio health program on Women Radio 91.7, broadcast Mondays through Fridays, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Today on Radio Doctor, we do not have a doctor on ground. Our phone lines are open, so you can call me to tell me, okay, I like this conversation we're having this morning, and okay, what do you think is what I've done? Just to weigh in and give your 2 cents on it. This morning, we are going to be discussing something very, very important, but most often time overlooked, something very important. And the topic this morning is caring for the elderly, honoring those who once cared for us. You can tune in from any part of the world that you happen to be at, because not every time terrestrial, you might be abroad. www.wfm917.com to listen to us from any part of the world that we happen to be at. We do not have a doctor on ground, like I said earlier. We are just going to be having this conversation this morning. Okay, let's get into it. As life gets busier and faster, it's easy to forget that the people who once held our hands, who fed us, who guided us through life are growing older, and they might need our care now. So caring for the elderly is not just about medicine, it's not just about money, but it's about love, it's about patience, and it's about respect. So today we're going to be talking about how we can make aging for our elder ones, for our parents, our grandparents, those in our community, a little bit easier, a little more dignified, for the people we love. Because when we talk about dignity, most times what happens is when we see older people, you just look down on them, which shouldn't be so. These are the people that cared for their children when their children were babies, right? And they've cared for you to where you are now. So you have to leave them with dignity. All right, let's get into it. Understanding the aging process. Now, what this means is that aging is a natural part of life. A very natural part of life. I'm talking from when you were born as a baby, you grew up to be maybe an infant, a toddler, a child, a teenager, a young person, and a young adult, and then you're an adult, you're now mid-age, you are growing old, right? But then this aging process, it comes with different changes like the physical changes. I mean, the way you were when you were a baby is not how you are now at your old age or at your young age. There's also emotional changes as well, and sometimes it could be mental. Our parents, our grandparents, they might not move as fast as they used to. Even you at your age of 35 or 45, you don't even move as young as you used to when you were younger. Their memory may slip sometimes. You see this memory of a thing, especially as you get older, then especially when you're a woman who's had babies, you know what they call memory brain? Yeah. Mommy brain, yeah. So your memory may slip sometimes. Even the way your memory is right now is not how it was when you were in your primary school or secondary school. How much more, someone who's in their 60s, in their 70s, in their 80s. And at this point in time, our parents and grandparents, they need more company than ever before. And you know what? That's okay, because what they need at this time is actually not perfection. Some of us are so impatient with our parents, we're so impatient with our grandparents. But what our parents, our loved ones, what they need is actually your presence, and what they need is patience from you. Sometimes we think that caring for the elderly means expensive gifts, expensive treatments, expensive fancy homes. But what they actually want is our time. They want a visit. They want you to call them on the phone. They want you to eat with them. Yes, yes, I know. Your mom who didn't used to let you eat with her from her same plate now wants you to eat with her. Well, Agbasin, they don't like, they just realize that, look, they now have the gift of hindsight to realize that how they were doing, you know, sometimes they just want you to call in on them and ask them, oh, mommy, share waleni, do you get? It's all these small acts that make them feel seen and make them feel valued. So now let's get into the physical side of caring for the elderly. We're talking good nutrition, we're talking gentle exercise, we're talking regular checkups. All these things, they go a long way. So encourage them to eat balanced diet. We're talking vegetables, be a foriro or ha soup, afang soup, vegetable soup, so fruits, pineapple, pawpaw, watermelon, oranges, all the like, water. Because the older they get, their thirst reduces. So you want to make sure that maybe there's a bottle of water next to them where they can drink water and just be okay, basically. And they can replenish their body, they can rehydrate their body. And then also light foods that digest easily. It's not the one that you now say at 7 o'clock when they're meant to be preparing to sleep or just preparing to wind down their day. You now want to give them a whole mountain of eba. Oh, please. Shano. If you have elderly parents or elderly relatives, please help them to stay active. Even if it is just walking to the gates and coming back, even if it is just stretching in the living room, that movement, it helps their joints to stay alive, and then it keeps their spirits lifted. I've shared this story before. When my grandma was still alive, one of the things that my uncle used to do was he was okay with her taking walks around, you know, their streets. At a point, she found it was in one of her walks, she found an orphanage home, and she went there, told them, oh, how can she be coming to, you know, assist them? Because my grandma, she loved children. Children were her ministry, they were her calling. Like once it's children, she was there 10 toes down. But when she now got older, she realized that, look, I can still serve, however, howbeit in another capacity. And so she was volunteering at the orphanage home at her old age. I think she was in her 80s and her late 80s. Also, you want to make sure that you keep your surroundings safe. Remove slippery rugs, remove, you know, dark lighting. So you want to fix the lighting, keep things within easy reach, because a simple fall, even you, when you fall, you know what your eyes do. How much more a fall from an elderly person? That fall can be dangerous for an elderly person, especially in the bathroom. We know, I'm sure that you've heard of so many bad tales of people who fell in the bathroom and passed on. So you want to make sure that everything is fixed. But here's something important. You do not have to take over everything. Yes, they might not be moving at the pace that you want them to move, but guess who wasn't moving at the pace that they were supposed to move when they were younger? You. I know you knew I was coming to you. So allow them do what they can still do. It keeps them active. It still keeps them it makes them feel useful. It keeps their dignity intact. Allow them be. Okay, independence makes them maintain that dignity, that self-respect. So it's okay to offer them help, but don't make them feel entirely helpless. No. Now let's move on to emotional and mental wellness. Beyond the physical care, beyond food, emotional well-being is just as important. There are many elderly people who struggle with loneliness. Many friends have passed on, their children are busy, the house feels quieter than it used to be, especially if they used to live in a house that had maybe 10 bedrooms. Because, you know, back in the day, our parents were all about community. So you had a lot of people living in the house. Plenty of people used to live in the house, right? So as you get older, the people that used to live in the house, they move on. And now in this season where people are migrating, even more than how they used to migrate before, people have moved, they've moved countries. So the house becomes a little quieter and there's nobody that can be with them, you know, just for company's sake. So many elderly people struggle with loneliness. If you ask yourself, if you check your community, there are a lot of elderly people who have passed from loneliness. Yes, it is possible to pass from loneliness. So what can we do? We have to be intentional about connection. what this means is that visit them as much as you can. Don't say, oh, I'll see them later. Later might not happen. Visit them as much as you can. Call them regularly. Listen to them. You see that listening to them? Yes, they can be saying the same story over and over again. Listen to them. Ask them about their childhood, their memories, their stories. That's something that I'm grateful that I did with my grandmother, because the gist that we used to gist, we could gist the whole day. She would say the same thing over and over again, but that was fine because sometimes she said it in a different way, you know. So ask them. I know about the stories of my uncles, my aunties, my parents. I know of the Ikwatatoya when they were younger. Everything that they all got up to, me and my grandma gisted. In fact, my grandma taught me how to make amala. My amala is on point just because my grandma taught me when I was younger how to make amala. The memories, their stories. There's some stories that I know that my mother doesn't believe that she's like, how do you know this? And that's because I spent time with my grandmother. You'd be surprised how much wisdom they carry. There's no time I left my grandmother's company or her presence that she did not leave me with a book or with a word of wisdom when she was still alive. So ask them. This is what connection is about. Yes, like I said before, even if they repeat the story for the 10th time, for the 100th time, smile. In fact, ask them, because even when they were telling you the first time, it's not like you were paying attention. So ask them again. To them, it's not even repetition. Do you know how many times you repeat the story? Do you know how much more the elderly ones that we have around us? So it's not about repetition. It's about them remembering these things. Also, you want to encourage laughter. Watch an old movie together, play their favorite music, pray with them, just spend time with them, remind them that they're still part of life and they're not just watching it pass by. Think about it, put yourself in their shoes. Imagine if they just left you to sit down in one chair in the house, nothing is happening, nobody's talking to you, they just leave you, you're passing, so people are passing you like you're not there. And that's another thing. Our elderly relatives, our parents, our grandparents, they matter. So don't just, when they are in the sitting room or when they are wherever they are in your house or when you go to visit them, don't treat them like they're non-existent, like they're invisible. They are not invisible, okay? So remind them that they are still part of life. Remind them that they still matter, okay? Now, we're moving to section 4. Let's talk to those who are caregivers. We're talking, if you're a son, you're a daughter, maybe you're a niece, maybe you're a neighbor, maybe you got a nurse for your mom or for your grandmom. Caring for an elderly person is a noble thing, but it can also be tiring. Let's be honest, let's be factual. And that's okay to admit. So it's important that you take breaks for yourself. Ask for help when you need to. Be like, you know what, I need to take a breather right now. Can somebody come and stay with mommy? Can somebody come and stay with grandma? Right? Do not carry the burden alone. Okay, if maybe your mom or your parents, they live in your house, maybe it's your auntie that lives in your house, and you are tired, you can say, okay, I'm not saying that mommy should go, but mommy, they know the right? Somebody else, you will realize that it's also good for them because it's change of environment for them. They're not seeing the same wall 24/7 anymore. And this is important because you actually cannot pour from an empty cup. You need to be filled for you to fill into somebody else. So when you take care of yourself, you'll have more love, you have more patience. When you realize that you're getting cranky with your mom or you're getting cranky with your grandma, the elderly ones around you, then it means that, I need to look into this, okay? Remember that caring for someone doesn't mean losing yourself. It means learning to balance compassion with self-care. Lastly, in this segment, we're going to talk about showing honor, because at the end of the day, caring for the elderly is about honor. Even, I'm sure the Bible, as a Christian, the Bible says that you should honor your father and your mother. I'm sure it's in the Quran. This is something that is being said. You honor them so that it will be well with you. And this applies to every elderly person around us, not just our relatives. There is an old saying that says, how you treat the elderly is how you'll be treated when you're old. I don't like that saying, to be honest, but I get the sentiment behind it because it is a case of do as you'll be done by. Interestingly, this morning on the Full Breakfast Show, when I opened the mic, we talked about kindness. And I remember saying that you don't give kindness because you're expecting something back in return. So don't take care of the elderly because you're expecting that you'll be treated better when you're old. That's not a good kind of way to look at it. Treat them better because it's the moral thing to do, it's the right thing to do. These are the elderly ones we have in your house. They're your parents or your grandparents. They deserve this care, they deserve this kindness, and they deserve the honor. So be kind to them, be patient with them, speak gently, don't be brash, don't be aggressive, don't be rude. Okay. And maybe you're in a country where maybe you've migrated and your parents are not with you, your aunties and uncles are not there. That's where calls come in. Thank God for technology. You can FaceTime, you can WhatsApp video call. I mean, the options are endless. So call your mom today, call your auntie, call your uncle, call your dad, call your grandmother, call your grandfather. Check in on your aging neighbor. And that's another thing that we should talk about. The neighbors, the elderly ones in our community. That's not the time to say they're not my parents. No, the moral thing to do is to also check in on them. Make sure that daddy, those are small talks that make them feel important and make them feel dignified. Okay, because one day we will grow old. Again, like I said, I'm not saying that you should treat them because when you go old, you want people to treat you that way, but it is what you sow that you will reap. Let's just put it that way. Maybe that's a better way to put it. It is what you sow that you will reap. And at the end of the day, yeah, what all of us want is love. What all of us want is compassion. What all of us want is respect. What all of us want is dignity, honor, right? Kindness, care. That's what all of us want, regardless of the age that we're at, regardless of whether you're a baby, you're a teenager, you're an adult, regardless of the stage of life that you find yourself. What all of us want are these things. So you want to make sure that you are doing right by yourself and right by the elderly ones in your community. As we wrap up today's show, here's a little reminder for you. Caring for the elderly isn't just a duty, it's a gift. It's our chance to say thank you with our actions. It's actually how we keep our family stories alive. Think about it. The stories that you know right now are the stories that your mom or your grandma shared with you 20, 30 years ago, and then the stories that you probably are sharing with your children. And that's another thing we should talk about. You need to be able to make sure that your children also have a relationship with your parents and your grandparents and the elderly ones around you. It is what they see you do that they will also do. Do you understand? So if they see that you are a kind person, your children, not because you want to get kindness in return, your children in return will be kind, because children mirror you as an adult, they mirror you as a parent. Children don't do what you say, they do what you do. Okay. And having compassion and spending time and caring for the elderly is one of the beautiful forms of love that we can give. So this week, yesterday I gave you a challenge. Have you done it? This week, take a moment to do something kind for the elderly person. This is also to me. I have an elderly person in my compound, and yeah, maybe today, before the end of the day, I will go check on him to just say, oh, I'm checking on you, or just gisting with him a little. So do something kind for the elderly, even if it's just a short visit, a smile, or a meal. And you just might be surprised how much it means to them. All right. Now we've come to the end of Radio Doctor this morning. Radio Doctor, once again, is your free health consultation program where real doctors advise real people. Radio Doctor is Nigeria's first specialized radio health program on Women Radio 91.7, broadcast 10 to 11 a.m. Mondays through Fridays. And we've been talking about caring for the elderly, leaving them with honor and dignity. But with that being said, we have come to the end of the show. Many thanks to you for listening to me this morning on Radio Doctor. Many thanks to my producer, Aisha Sunny, and Gloria at the studio. Thank you, Gloria. Shout out to you for producing me as well. And many thanks to the executive producer, Tomo Kiwale Shonaya. I am to be back. Angala, as always, do have a healthy day. Stick around with Women Radio for our amazing shows for the rest of the day, and do not go anywhere. See you same time tomorrow on Radio Doctor. Goodbye.